You know, this video is so overdue, it's not even funny. It's almost 2 years now overdue. It's coming up on 2 years since I stopped playing professional hockey, since I ended my career and retired. I just want to get it out there because I feel it's a story that I at least intend to make inspirational for others. Whether you're an athlete or not, I think things that I learned on my journey through hockey can help you in your life, and that's why I want to share it. If you don't know who I am, you never seen me before, you never heard my name is Jordan Owens. I'm a former professional hockey player. I played 12 years, 6 of which were in the American Hockey League in North America. After that, I played another 6 years in Europe. So how do you tell a 12-year story? This is going to be part 1 in a multi-part series of videos where I discuss sort of my mindset and, you know, where I was at mentally throughout my career. You know, part of being a professional athlete is giving really politically correct answers when people ask you how things are in your career. They could say to you, hey, how's hockey going? And you know, you're almost trained as an athlete. Like, my typical response to a question like that would be, yeah, the team's doing great, you know, we're on the hunt to make playoffs, you know, we have a good shot. And it's all BS. You know, it's all BS. Like, I mean, there's some truth to it. People really want to know, like, how are you doing? Where are you at? How's your mindset? Like, are you close? Are you struggling? Are you riding a high? Are you riding a low? And I weathered all these things and really never shared my thoughts. There was highs and lows, and for a lot of it, I felt alone. I felt utterly alone. And that's not because I didn't have supporting people around me, because I had the most supportive people around me. You know, my family, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, Jess. I had, you know, great fans who I've connected with over the time. There's an abundance of supportive people in my life, but none of them have really been in my shoes. None of them played at a high level of hockey, so it's hard to get advice or mentorship from people who haven't really been there before. You know, looking back now, I see like the lack of mentorship that I had throughout my career, especially in the early stage, had a huge effect on the course of my career. A lot of things I had to just figure out on my own. Luckily for me, I was able to figure out a lot of them quickly, which helped me play for as long as I did. So like I said, there's really it's just so hard to pick a spot to start this video. But I think I'm gonna start it in my first year. That summer leading up to my first year pro, I signed a 1-year contract with the Hartford Wolfpack, who was the farm team, or the affiliate team of the New York Rangers. I spent about a month there in the spring after my final year of junior hockey in Mississauga. Basically, they brought me down there just to get a good look at me. They were watching me for a while. I thought I was gonna sign with the Rangers, and it actually didn't end up happening. But they brought me down to their farm team, threw me in a bunch of games. I did pretty well, good enough that they signed me for my first pro contract. So, you know, already I was behind the 8 ball. I wasn't drafted, I didn't have an NHL contract. I'm going into a league in a team where it's a developmental league for the NHL. So everyone has NHL contracts, and if you don't, you're basically on the very bottom of the totem pole. You know, that was good and bad. Because, we'll start with the bad. It was bad in the sense that they're gonna play their prospects before they play me, no matter what. No matter if they're doing better, no matter if they're doing worse than me, no matter if I'm doing better, if I'm outplaying them, it doesn't matter. I'm always gonna be that guy who's at the bottom of the totem pole, which is just part of the business. You know, hockey, it's just not a sport, it's business too. I get that. So going to Hartford on an American League contract, a little bit behind the 8 ball, but there's a good side too. And I think it worked in my favor in the sense that I don't know if this is good or bad, but I kind of consider myself an underdog. I've always looked at myself as an underdog, and I play better when I'm fighting from the bottom up. I've noticed, you know, as I progress later on in my career, that I just didn't have that same hunger, didn't play with that same edge as when things were kind of given to me and other people were coming after me. If I was chasing others, I was able to elevate to levels that, you know, sometimes surprised myself. So right off the bat, I was in that position of underdog, which was fine. That summer leading up to camp, like I said, I didn't really have any mentors. Nobody in my family has ever been in this position, and I was just figuring things out as I went. I knew I was a little bit underweight. I was probably weighing about 180 pounds back then, soaking wet. I was probably a little bit less, like mid to high 170s. I was light. I knew I had to put on some weight. That summer, I didn't put on any weight. You know, I trained by myself like I have in the past. I didn't really have money or resources to get a personal trainer, so I just did the best I could. The Rangers provided us with a training program, and I followed that. And I felt pretty good going to camp, but once I got there, I realized that I wasn't in as good a shape as I thought I was or what I could have been. But I was able to acclimatize to camp and get up to speed pretty quickly. You are running on adrenaline, well, at least I was for a lot of it. So being a little bit out of shape wasn't a huge issue. Like I said, I did catch up within like a few days. I was feeling like much better. But I am skipping ahead. I drove my own car that I bought. It was my first actual pro purchase, was a new car, and I think it was like a 99 Chrysler Intrepid. I might have got the year wrong, but it wasn't a big fancy car. I think it cost me $8,000, which I bought with an advance that I got from the Wolfpack. And typically players are getting signing bonuses when they sign pro contracts. I got an advance, so yeah, it was nice. It was the most money I ever had at the time, but it really wasn't much at all compared to what my teammates were making. I drove that car down from Niagara Falls to White Plains, where the Rangers had their training camp. They have a big training facility there, really awesome. They have a kitchen there, they have a rink, they share it with the Knicks and Liberty, just really cool spot. But I remember, making that drive to White Plains and pulling up at the Crown Plaza Hotel, and your heart's racing. It's like, oh my God, I'm here. I pull up to the lobby, and right away I'm tasted with a little bit of like what the big leagues is like. They had tables out, Rangers, banners everywhere. They had people from the Rangers staff there giving us booklets with all the information from camp. And on top of that, I got about $600 in per diem just handed to me in a white envelope. For those who don't know, per diem is basically meal money. So right away I was starting to feel like a big dog. I dropped my bags off in the room, and there was a mall right across the street. So I ran right across the street. This is 2007, and a few months before the OG, the original iPhone, landed in stores in the States. I don't know if you guys were excited as me. I remember seeing that Steve Jobs keynote, and I knew I was gonna get that phone. So all that meal money was basically gone within an hour and a half from me getting that envelope. But that night, basically took it easy, met a few guys, had some dinner, and that was it. My first camp was basically one sleep away. And I know any pro player will tell you the same. I don't think anybody sleeps well that first night before camp. Usually camp will start off with a meeting with all the players and staff, and usually it's at the crack of dawn. So there's a good chance, if you're not a morning person, your alarm doesn't go off, like you could sleep right through the entire thing and probably end your season before it even starts. But luckily I didn't oversleep. We had that meeting at the crack of dawn in the morning. We went to the rink, and usually day one is just fitness testing. And this is where my conditioning kind of showed itself. When I say I wasn't in shape, I tested basically average. But to me, that's bad. I always looked at fitness testing, after this day, as the easiest way to make an impression. It's within your control. You just get in shape. You never know what's gonna happen on the ice. You could just have a bad day, you could get hurt. There's so many things that are not in your control on the ice. Fitness testing is within your control. Show up in shape, do a good job, you're instantly on the radar of the people who are watching and who really matter. But on that day, I tested very average, middle of the pack, but it was nice to just get in there, get set up with gear, get set up in the locker room, get acclimatized to the environment. For me, it was my first time, seeing the big dogs around, and it is a lot to take in. That first camp, I remember it like it was yesterday. As luck would have it, trainer set me up right beside Jaromir Jagr. Like, he's right there. And it's kind of funny looking back, I was just this shy kid who didn't know shit about shit. I was just this kid, chasing a dream, and I watched this guy play my entire childhood. I can shake my head at the situation now looking back. I didn't even say a word to the guy. I didn't say anything to him. Brandon Shanahan, stretching on the floor right in front of me. Another player. I watched him as a kid. He was, that guy. Henrik Lundqvist, right over there getting dressed. Drury, right over there. And as I scan the room, it's like, holy shit, where am I right now? So yeah, like I said, it's a lot to take in. I remember going over to the stick rack and just inspecting all the sticks, the stars, guys I grew up watching. What sticks are they using? What gear are they using? There was just so many things to be amazed by. At that level, there's unlimited resources. So there's a fridge right there beside the room with every type of bottled beverage that like a person could ever want. They basically have an army of trainers there, like massaging guys and getting them ready. There's like any supplement that you could ever need. State-of-the-art gym with trainers at your disposal. It was so cool. All that stuff, it only made me more nervous, I guess. I remember sitting on the bench before the first on-ice session, and Drury is sitting next to me, and we start talking, he's making small talk with me, which I thought was pretty cool. And I remember telling him like, yeah, it's my first training camp, I'm pretty nervous. And he just told me to relax, do do what got me here. And it's simple advice, and it's much easier said than done. But it's funny because I would say the same thing to players, you know, when I became a veteran in the American League and there was guys coming up from junior college, and you know, it was my turn to take them under my wing. I can't really express how cool of a guy Chris Drury was, because I fast forward to the next year training camp in New York. I walk in the door, I still have my bag on my shoulder, and I see him walking down the hallway towards me. He's like, "Hey Jordan, what's going on? How was your season?" How does this guy remember my name? The only conversation I had with him was on the bench leading up to that first session on the ice. It's been a full year. How does he remember my name? That's pretty awesome. Once we did get on the ice, you know, we're doing the Indy 500 around the rink, just getting loose. I remember the first drill we did, it was probably the easiest drill under the sun. I don't know if this was intentional or not, just to ease everyone's nerves and, you know, kind of ease into things. You know, you skate down the boards, basically the length of the rink, stop, get a pass from the guy on the boards, back down the other way, a shot. Remember getting to the front of the line, it's my turn, down the ice towards me, Brendan Shanahan. I'm thinking to myself at this point, holy shit, that's Brendan Shanahan. He's skating towards me, he's gonna pass me the puck. At this point, I'm not thinking about handling the puck, I'm not thinking about passing it back to him. I did these things, luckily, but it was just complete muscle memory. My head was gone. My head was gone. That was the first pass I took at an NHL training camp, was from Brendan Shanahan. Luckily, I put it back on his tape, and you know, then it was my turn. I was off to the races. And I know there's gonna be other pro players that I played with, other pro players who, you know, are watching this thinking, "Yo, Jordan, you're such a nerd, like it's not a big deal, blah, 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 blah." And yes, they're right to some extent, but you have to understand, I'm just a guy who loves hockey. I played this game and I kept playing this game as long as teams kept wanting me to play on their team. If you're a professional hockey player, you've been to a handful of NHL camps, you know, you played in the NHL, American League, played with a lot of good players, it's not a big deal. But looking back now, I really see that not many people get the opportunity to even have that moment where you take a pass from an NHL Hall of Famer and give it back to him. So many people have the dream of getting to that moment who just never make it. It's much less than 1%. So yeah, it's not a big deal if you played hockey for a number of years, but I know there's a lot of people watching this video who haven't. And that little moment would be the first of many to come. You know, in many ways, I'm still a kid inside. My mentality through that camp was a little bit immature, I would say. I was basically just happy to be there. I was just going with the flow. You know, I didn't really have that killer instinct of take no prisoners, I'm gonna make my mark, I'm an equal to these guys now. You know, I didn't have that. And again, that's where I think mentorship could have came in to play there. At some point, you have to put the idea that these are your childhood heroes behind you, and that if you get matched up against a guy in a drill or battling for a puck in the corner in a game, whatever it is, that idol of yours is now someone you're competing against. And throughout that camp, I didn't really have that mentality, but still it was a great experience. I didn't blow anyone's socks off in camp. At the end of the day, I don't think I expected, or I don't think anyone expected, that I was going to make the New York Rangers that year. It was more of just taking in the experience, getting my feet wet, getting me acquainted with the organization, them getting acquainted to me, and seeing me more. And you know, I was going to go to Hartford. I was going to play in Hartford that year. And you know, the camps that would follow this one, you know, I went to 2 more Rangers camps, a Red Wings camp after that. I did build on the first one. I learned from it, and I did approach those with more of a killer instinct attitude. You know, I was there to show them that I deserve to be an NHL player. I wanted to show them that I'm someone to be taken seriously. I wanted to leave an impression on anybody who was on the ice with me and everybody who was watching. And I think I was able to do a good job at that later on in my career. So if you're a young player watching this, maybe you're someone who's been in my shoes and you know the things that I'm talking about, you've experienced them yourself. Just know it's okay to shine. Do your thing, take no prisoners. You deserve to be there as much as anyone else, and leave the imposter syndrome at the door, because it's not serving you and it's only gonna hold you back. But that's all I got for you guys today. If you've liked this video, you wanna hear more stories of my journey, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so you're notified when I drop another video. And if you haven't already, go check out that 2007 iPhone keynote speech with Steve Jobs. Yeah, do you blame me for going out and buying that thing right away? It was like, but that's all I got, guys. If you have any questions, you wanna hear specifics on my journey, please leave a comment below and ask me. I'll be sure to address them in the upcoming videos. Like I said, this is part 1 of a multi-part series. If you made it to this part in the video, I thank you. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.